when LeBron passes up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in points, and he will this year, will that make him the greatest player ever? Okay, an interesting question. I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. Hold on. You said LeBron James the greatest player ever?
Ever.
What about Michael and Kobe? So you just gonna pass Kobe up like that?
I'm gonna pass Kobe up. I'm gonna look at Michael. I'm gonna look at the. I'm gonna look at.
I know it. Patron America.
Yo.
Patron America.
Kobe Bryant couldn't fill, or Michael Jordan fill LeBron's shoes. The impact that he's had with different teammates, different organizations.
Would you be mad at me if I just walked off the show?
You can't leave.
The atmosphere inside Madison Square Garden was already tense when everything suddenly boiled over. The Lakers had just suffered a disappointing 112-100 loss to the Knicks. At first, it seemed like nothing more than another frustrating defeat, but as soon as the final buzzer sounded, the conversation changed almost instantly. And it quickly became about much more than the game itself. Social media erupted with reports of a heated exchange in the tunnel involving Shaquille O'Neal and LeBron James. According to multiple reports and people who were at the arena, Shaq confronted LeBron over comments he believed were disrespectful toward Michael Jordan and the way players from earlier generations approached the game. This wasn't a polished television debate or a planned media discussion. It was described as personal, emotional, and filled with old-school intensity. Witnesses at the arena claimed Shaq waited near the tunnel after the game and stopped LeBron as the two crossed paths. Whether every detail unfolded exactly as reported is still a matter of debate, but the story spread rapidly because it touched on one of basketball's biggest ongoing debates: old school versus new school. The tension had been building throughout the week. During a podcast appearance, LeBron explained how today's NBA differs from previous eras. He spoke about how calf injuries have become a growing concern because the modern game demands greater speed, constant movement, and non-stop sprinting. He even compared today's calf injuries to the high ankle sprains that were once considered some of the toughest injuries to overcome. That clip quickly made its way across sports pages, podcasts, and social media, giving plenty of former players something to respond to. And that's what makes this story much bigger than a single interview.
One thing to you, Max, I don't know the numbers like you do. Michael Jordan is what in the finals? 6 and what?
Oh.
And what is LeBron in the finals? That's all I gotta say.
Shaq, how many games?
This isn't just about one comment. It's about history, legacy, and two basketball legends who represent completely different generations and philosophies of the game. That's why emotions escalated so quickly. Shaq's frustration isn't really about podcasts, social media, or players openly discussing recovery. From his perspective, the larger issue is what those comments seem to imply. He believes they risk downplaying the physical battles that defined earlier NBA eras. The hard fouls, the elbows, the relentless trash talk, and the constant physical pressure weren't simply part of the game. They were part of earning respect. For Shaq, Michael Jordan represents far more than championships or remarkable statistics. Jordan embodied a relentless competitive mindset that could wear opponents down mentally long before the final buzzer. So when modern conversations suggest today's challenges automatically make basketball tougher, Shaq views that as an unfair comparison. In his eyes, it sounds less like basketball analysis and more like an attempt to rewrite history through the lens of today's game. Once you look beyond the headlines and emotional reactions, the real discussion becomes much more compelling. It's about old-school physical dominance versus adapting to the faster, more demanding style of today's NBA. LeBron's point was straightforward. Today's game features more spacing, faster possessions, and significantly more running than many previous eras. Because of that, soft tissue injuries such as calf strains have become significantly more significant. Sports science and modern analytics support that perspective, and many experts agree with it. Still, many former players hear something entirely different.
LeBron is about to do something that hasn't been done in a long time, and I think he will move his name up there. But for me, it's always Dr. J and Michael Jordan.
When Shaq says LeBron never created that same level of fear, he isn't talking about championships or career accomplishments. He's referring to presence, reputation, and the way opponents felt before the opening tip. That's an entirely different discussion from comparing statistics or counting rings. Now, the conversation has expanded far beyond podcasts and television debates. It's taking place in locker rooms, on sports shows, across social media, and in neighborhood barbershops, where basketball stories are passed from one generation to the next. When Shaq questions whether some of today's biggest stars appear more focused on entertainment, carefully planned pre-game routines, and building their personal brands, those comments resonate with many former players. Whether people agree or disagree, that's the debate right now, and it's only becoming louder. Those same former players are often the ones passing basketball stories down to younger generations. They'll tell young players about the opponents they never wanted to face on an ordinary Tuesday night because they knew every matchup would turn into a battle. If the reported tunnel confrontation unfolded the way many accounts have described, that moment could stay with teammates and rivals much longer than any press conference or social media response. Moments like that often become part of basketball history. That's also why Shaq continues looking back at the past. He argues that earlier NBA eras allowed a level of physical play that today's rules no longer permit. Hand-checking was common, hard fouls carried different consequences, and intimidation was often considered part of winning. For players from that generation, those memories aren't simply nostalgia. They shaped how they prepared, dealt with pain, and earned respect throughout their careers. From Shaq's perspective, comparing different eras by focusing only on games played or career length overlooks the bigger picture. He believes the daily physical punishment was far greater in the past, making long careers much more difficult to sustain, while creating incredibly intense peaks. On the other side, LeBron's supporters point to something equally remarkable. They highlight the way he transformed his body, adjusted his training, refined his diet, and continued evolving as the game itself changed. That level of longevity is something very few athletes in any sport have ever achieved. The reality is that both sides make valid arguments. The NBA has evolved in countless ways, and greatness doesn't have to fit a single definition. But for Shaq, one message stands above everything else. If someone argues that today's game is tougher overall, he believes it's equally important to recognize the players who battled through the challenges of earlier generations and helped build the league into what it is today.
He's not what Michael was as a player. He's not even what Kobe Bryant was as a player. So, when you talk about trying to compare Michael's instinct, his ability to take over games, his ability to want to have that last shot.
And demoralize you.
Yes.
And scare the living hell out of you.
LeBron doesn't have that gene.
This is where the debate often becomes much louder. Younger fans sometimes judge greatness by popularity, highlight reels, and massive online followings, while former players often view it through a completely different lens. Shaq has repeatedly argued that basketball should always be about relentless competitiveness first. From his perspective, branding and fame should never matter more than what happens once the game begins. That doesn't mean today's players aren't putting in incredible work. Training methods are more advanced, recovery techniques are more detailed, and athletes spend countless hours improving every aspect of their game. Shaq's main point is about mentality. He believes there was once a level of psychological pressure that made opponents truly uneasy before the opening tip. As players used to say, watch out for this guy because he'll wreck your soul. That's the kind of reputation Shaq believes carried tremendous value. When Shaq compares LeBron to players like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, he's emphasizing that mental edge rather than statistics or awards. Whether people agree with that perspective or not, it has become one of the biggest talking points in this debate. The discussion has shifted away from numbers and toward presence, confidence, and the way opponents felt when facing basketball's biggest stars.
Now the conversation stretches far beyond personal opinions. It has become another chapter in the never-ending debate between older generations and today's NBA stars. Some people believe the greatest players should be judged by peak dominance, unforgettable playoff performances, and the fear they inspired in opponents. Others believe greatness should also include consistency, adaptability, and maintaining elite play over an incredibly long career. Both viewpoints continued to divide basketball fans everywhere. The reason this discussion matters is because legacy lasts much longer than any single season. If enough people believe LeBron's comments were misunderstood, or on the other hand, believe they reflected a lack of appreciation for earlier generations, that perception could shape how future fans remember this era. Public opinion often becomes part of basketball history, just as much as championships and record books. One part of the story that often gets overlooked is the personal side of everything. LeBron is one of the biggest athletes in the world, with enormous influence both on and off the court. Meanwhile, Shaq remains one of the most respected figures from one of the NBA's greatest championship dynasties. If a conversation between two legends becomes this emotional, it's about much more than one interview or a single headline. It's about respect, legacy, and how every generation wants its place in basketball history to be remembered. For LeBron, moments like this naturally carry extra weight. After years of hearing that he helped reshape the league and redefine what a modern superstar could be, being publicly challenged by someone like Shaq, if events unfolded as widely reported, naturally attracts attention. The bigger question isn't simply about one conversation, it's about how greatness is remembered. Is the ultimate goal to earn admiration, command respect, or leave behind a legacy that includes both? That's the debate people continue to have. Shaq's biggest concern isn't only about what LeBron said, it's about what he believes has changed across the NBA. From his point of view, the discussion is about much more than one podcast or one headline. It's about how the league defines respect, toughness, and greatness today. That's why the reported tunnel exchange has captured so much attention. Whether every detail unfolded exactly as described or not, the story has become a symbol of the ongoing clash between basketball generations.
I think the greatest player is Michael Jordan. That's what I think. But
That's how I see it. But now, everything comes down to one final question. Which side of this debate do you believe makes the stronger argument? Do you agree with Shaq's perspective that true greatness is built through physical dominance, mental intimidation, and making opponents think twice before stepping onto the court? Or do you believe LeBron represents a different kind of greatness, one defined by adaptability, consistency, longevity, and the ability to evolve as the game continues to change? There may never be one answer that satisfies everyone. Supporters of Shaq will point to the intensity, physical battles, and relentless mentality that defined earlier NBA eras. Supporters of LeBron will point to historic production, remarkable durability, and the ability to remain among the league's elite across multiple generations. Both viewpoints have passionate supporters, and that's exactly why this debate never seems to go away. If you're going to take a side, back it up with the games, the highlights, the statistics, and the defining moments that shaped these legends. Watch Jordan's biggest performances, study LeBron's incredible career, listen to the interviews, follow the podcast discussions, and compare them with the reactions from former players. The best debates are built on evidence, not emotion alone. No matter where you stand, one thing is certain. Conversations like this keep the history of basketball alive. New games will be played, new records will be broken, and new stars will emerge. But debates about greatness, legacy, and respect will always be part of the sport. That's one of the reasons basketball is so much fun to talk about. Now it's your turn. Which side are you on? Team fear or team mastery? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let everyone know why. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with other basketball fans so they can join the conversation as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.